Hey, so it is a beautiful Thursday, so we are outside and oh wow, I can actually see the reflection of my camera in the window. So we're on a little bit of a lighter note today in comparison to last night. I just want to talk a little bit about the fact that I completely understand that this is a really frustrating situation. I'm not just talking about the pandemic. I'm not just talking about credit. I'm just talking about this entire thing in general, that it can be depressing, it can be frustrating, and the entire thing was designed like this so that you stop. Because you have to realize, and I have mentioned this previously, that the bureaus are there to frustrate and discourage you, right? And they always use it as a stall tactic. But now, as I mentioned in I'll put the video up right here, or at least the name of it. But in that video from a couple of days ago, or maybe about 7 days ago, where I showed the computer screen, I put the link down in the description of the video. They're being blatantly obvious and using it as an excuse now that everything is moving very slowly. So don't be surprised if you don't get a response. Why don't you just pay your bills instead, right? So none of this was designed for me to win, for you to win, for anybody other than the bureaus and the creditors and the collectors to win, right? Because remember, they are in the data business. So we're stepping on a squirt gun. So they're in the data business. That means that they make their money selling your information. And you have to remember this. You have to keep this in the forefront of your mind when you are disputing, because you can't think, and I'm not telling you what to and not to think, but what you don't want to think about is that they're there to help you, because they're obviously not. Once again, they're there to frustrate you and discourage you and deter you from disputing. They want you to stop, right? So in one of my videos, I mentioned that this process, and this is how I explain it on the phone a lot of the times, this process is like getting in a long ass line at the DMV. You know you have to go to the DMV. Your license is going to expire. Your registration is going to expire. They're going to tow your car or some crap like that because you need to go do something. And the only way to do it is to physically go to the DMV. Let's pretend like they don't have online services, or it's one that you actually have to physically go in for, right? So you know you got to do it. You got to just bite the bullet and go. And there's a line from here to Timbuktu, right? Even though that line is really long, you know that eventually, however many hours it's going to take, you're going to get to the front, right? What happens now if you say, you know what, I'm going to come back on Friday because I get off work at 12 o'clock on Friday, and that line should be, not as long because people don't come here on Fridays. They go out to lunch and, they're at work or whatever. Well, you're going to get out of the line and you're going to come back on Friday or whenever, and that line is still going to be there, but there's more than likely going to be more people because everybody was thinking the same thing. Your credit is no different, except for the people that are pulling you out of the line is going to be the bureaus. They're right there. It's like while you're standing in the line, they're right there next to you saying, hey, you know what? You probably should do this later. Or you know what? Why don't you just call your creditors and see if you can work something out, and maybe they'll do a pay for delete. You're probably not going to get any deletion, so you might as well just get out of the line. All these people have a better chance than you. So why even bother? We're not going to respond to you. We're going to ignore you. We're going to tell you that it's been verified. We're going to tell you that it's frivolous. We're going to tell you that you didn't send in your identification. We're going to tell you this. We're going to tell you that. And eventually, I'm doing this in hopes that you're going to stop disputing. And so many people get out of that line. And guess what? They never come back. Or if they do, that line is significantly longer, and they're not going to have the patience. The bureaus, the creditors, and the collectors know that all they have to do is continue to nag in your ear or not say anything at all, and you're going to go away, because as you guys know, we live in a microwave society. Everybody wants everything right now. I don't want to go and cook my food at home. I want to go through the drive-thru. I don't want to make the food on the stove. I want to put it in the microwave. I don't want to put it in the oven. It takes too damn long. I'm gonna whatever. You get what I'm saying? We live in a microwave society, and all that means is that we're impatient, we want things now, we're impulsive, and the bureaus, creditors, and the collectors, they know that, and they bank on that, right? They know that all they have to do is ignore you, or they just have to give you these little stall tactics and scare tactics. We're not going to reinvestigate, and you're just going to go away. So you can't let them do this. You can't let them win. You can't let them do this, because when they do, they win. So what you have to do, the way that you combat this, what you have to do is you say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the DMV. I'm going to go wait in that line. I'm going to get to the front, and I'm going to handle my business, right? I'm not going to let any security guard come up to me and say, oh, but the line's pretty long today. You should probably come back tomorrow at like 5 a.m. The line starts at like 5 a.m. In California, that's when people start lining up at the DMV. I've been there. I know. All right. So don't let anybody be that little birdie in your ear telling you that you can't do this, that you shouldn't do this, that this is not the right time to do this, okay? You need to set your goal, and you need to say, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm going to do it, and just do it, okay? So another thing that we need to realize is that there are no deadlines when it comes to this. So I've been hearing this a lot this week, whether on my YouTube comments, on Facebook Messenger, on my phone calls, texts and emails. It's all over the place. And this is why I'm bringing it up. People have deadlines. And I've said this before, including last night's video. Deadlines. People have deadlines. My credit is X, but I have to do Y by whatever time. It doesn't work like that. If you don't fix your credit first, if you don't remove whatever you have that's all gumbled on there, you're not going to be able to get to whatever that goal is. So if your goal is to get a $500,000 mortgage, which is pretty average, right? Here it can get you a really, really nice house. In New York, upstate New York, it can get you a mansion. And in California, it can get you like a 5x5 storage box. But anywho, if $500,000 is the average mortgage rate, right? You're like, okay, I'm just gonna get this mortgage and I want to get it in 90 days, but I actually have like collections that I have to remove, and they have to be removed by 90 days because I'm gonna get that mortgage. It doesn't work like that. It's what we need to do is flip that around and say, okay, well, no, I need to fix this first, because to get to that $500,000 mortgage or that $30,000 car or that $5,000 credit card, I have to do this first. So this is the only thing that matters, right? The mortgage doesn't matter. The vehicle doesn't matter, because none of those things exist unless you fix this first. None of those things exist. It's just an idea in your head. Okay, it's not an actual feasible solution or a plan because you didn't fix the problem first. So we have to first fix the problem, and the only way to do that is to be realistic about this. Okay, so the way that I've been explaining this, and I may have mentioned it last night, I can't remember, that was like a 15-minute video, is that while this is moving slowly right now, it's still moving. That line at the DMV eventually moves forward, and you're going to get to the front of it. This is no different. Even in the middle of a pandemic, even with the bureaus like just blatantly saying, hey, we're slow, they're still open. They're still accepting disputes. They're still processing. Even though they may ignore you, it does not matter. That line is still moving slowly, very slowly forward. And all you have to do is stay in it. So we are going to, once again, we're going to focus our energy on the things that we can actually control. And that is actually disputing all negative items every single round with all three bureaus, and absolutely no templates, and doing it consistently and being persistent and using the squeaky wheel method and hammering out our disputes and making sure that we are using factual based disputes, right? That use the elements and the language of the law that embody the law that we are indirectly citing. Okay, so we're not saying pursuant to this, and section 609 says that, and section 1681 says this, and Cushman versus TransUnion says that, and blah blah blah. We're not doing any of that. We are using the irrefutable facts directly from the credit report that back up the reason why the account needs to be removed or corrected. And that is what you can control, and that is how you complete this one goal that means more to you than anything else should right now besides your health and your income and your family, right? It's 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, okay? And we get through that. And then once we get through that, or at least up to the peak of it, now we're starting to see that $500,000 mortgage, that $30,000 vehicle, that better neighborhood for the kids, and that swing set that you want that you have to finance, whatever it is. We can't see that, we can't realize that until we get through this. So my entire point, after 5 minutes of explaining that, is that it's not realistic. It is not at all realistic to say that in X amount of days, I need to do X, because X is not going to happen until you fix the problem. And the way that you fix the problem is realizing that it's a real issue, right? Unless you give life to this issue, it's not really an issue. You actually have to say, oh my God, I got to fix this. It's real. I need to, fix my credit. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my plan. You got to execute your plan and all that. And then once you do that, now you see this is right here on the horizon, and I'm going to start working towards it. Okay. But that crap doesn't exist until you fix this. I hope you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, because sometimes they're just words, but right now I am giving life to these words because you need to understand them so that you can do something about it, okay? I'm bringing awareness to this so that you can have realistic expectations and do something to actually achieve and accomplish your goals and your vision. Now, lastly, did you know that the only score that you actually need to get to is a 760 for a mortgage? Did you also know that only 1.6% of Americans have an 850, which is a perfect FICO score? That's pretty interesting. Only 1.6, and this is 6 in sign language. 1.6% of Americans have a perfect credit score. And according to some guy that worked at FICO and Equifax that I can't pronounce his last name, it's like Heimlich's or something like that, and I don't have it, it's written down inside my office, and my office is on the other side of this glass partition right here, okay? So, anywho, this dude said that, like I said, he used to work at FICO and Equifax. He said that even though only 1.6 of the population, or at least Americans, have a perfect FICO score, you don't need a perfect FICO score. And in fact, anything more than a 760 is not going to benefit you. I mean, yeah, it's going to be beneficial because you're like, oh yeah, I get a 850, I can like buy the shirt and all that kind of stuff, but it's not going to be more beneficial to have an 850 than it does to have a 760, right? You're not going to get better mortgage rates. That is the goal. So for auto, it is a 720 for a, I might have been correct the first time. I was going to say 740, but it's actually a 720. So auto is 720 and a mortgage is a 760. So if you want the best rates and to save the most amount of money, because remember, the difference between bad credit and good credit on a $500,000 mortgage is $132,000. So if you want to keep that $132,000 in your pocket, you're going to want the 760 for a mortgage, all right? So just keep that in mind. You don't need an 850. You do not need an 850. You only need an 860. Wow, that's like more than 100%, right? 760, okay? So these are the numbers that we should be shooting for. I always kind of add 20 points to stuff because of the situations like this that make you realize that you should have started like 4 years ago, but we can't go back 4 years ago. There's no such thing as a time machine as much as we would like there to be. So all we can do is move forward. So that is basically it for at least right now. I do have another video this evening that's going to be coming out tomorrow, which tomorrow for you guys is 2 days because this one is coming out tomorrow. Anywho, that is it. And lastly, I am going to start putting my, in some of my videos, I actually have an end screen video that have my links pull up. I am going to try to do that in every video And if I can't, I will have my links on the screen, because I realized that by looking at my analytics, a lot of people are watching my videos on Roku TV and all that kind of stuff, and you don't get to the description on those types of deals. So you would actually have to go to a mobile device or, desktop or laptop to pull up the description. So any relevant links that are not like a bunch of random characters, I will put on my screen as best as I can in post-production, okay? So I'll try to do it with this one, because I also have a video to put in the middle, the beginning of the video where I went like this. The relevant link for this one would be, if you need my help, as always, expertcreditsweeps.com/book-online. Not for free advice, but to see if I can actually help you. The second relevant link would be my free inquiry webinar. It's going to be in a couple of days, so I need to get that link out to you guys for the registration. If you are interested, you can use the link in the description. That one does absolutely have some weirdo characters, so I cannot put it on the screen for you. And that is it, okay? Stay safe, love each other. You never know when, what day is going to be your last, okay? Yes, this is a horrible situation going on right now. We're losing such great people, and everything is so uncertain, but it's a temporary situation. All things come to an end, whether positive or negative, right? So just as this is going to come to an end, so will bad credit. And I want to be the one to help you in any way that I can to make that temporary situation much, much shorter for you. All right, guys, that's it. My name is Kristen, and thanks for watching. For those of you that actually made it to the end, I'll see you guys later.